Next, welcome to this incredible deep dive into one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in modern numismatic history, the 2004 1-cent penny, a coin that despite its seemingly ordinary appearance has become a staggering $50 million treasure among collectors worldwide due to a series of rare and significant errors and mistakes during its minting process. And today we are going to explore in exhaustive detail exactly what makes this particular penny so extraordinary, what specific errors contribute to its astronomical value, the history behind these mistakes, how they were discovered, and the possibilities for future collectors and investors alike who seek to understand why a simple copper-coated zinc coin from 2004 could suddenly transform from pocket change to a near-priceless artifact worthy of millions. First, it is important to understand that the 2004 penny was produced during a time when the US Mint was experimenting with various process optimizations to enhance production efficiency while maintaining quality, and while the coin itself followed the traditional design featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, subtle changes in the minting process led to several anomalies that became highly sought after by collectors. One of the most notable errors found on certain 2004 pennies is the infamous double-die obverse error, where the coin's design elements, particularly Lincoln's profile, the date, and lettering, appear to have a distinct doubling effect caused by a misalignment of the die during striking, creating a visually striking but unintended duplication that drastically reduces the coin's minting run and makes it exceedingly rare. This double-die effect, combined with a less common but equally significant off-center strike, in which the coin's design is shifted away from the center leaving a portion of the planchette blank or missing elements on one side, adds to the uniqueness and scarcity of these pennies. Additionally, another mistake known as the clipped planchette error, where the metal blank from which the coin is struck is improperly cut, resulting in missing curved sections along the edge of the coin, further increases the collectible nature of certain 2004 pennies. These physical minting errors alone would have been sufficient to raise interest, but what truly catapulted the 2004 penny into the realm of multimillion-dollar valuations was the discovery of a striking metal composition error where some pennies were mistakenly struck on a planchette intended for a different coin denomination, altering their weight, color, and electromagnetic signature. This rare composition error is incredibly sought after because it combines visual rarity with the scientific anomaly of metal mix-up, making the coin not only a collectible but also a piece of minting history that documents a tangible mistake in the US Mint's manufacturing process. Experts believe that the rarity of these errors can be attributed to a confluence of factors, including increased mechanization, tighter production schedules, and a high volume of coins produced annually, which sometimes led to lapses in quality control. Yet in this case, the mistakes slipped through and were caught only decades later by meticulous collectors and researchers using advanced magnification tools and metal analyzers. The initial discovery of these errors dates back to the early 2010s when a small group of dedicated numismatists began noticing inconsistencies in circulated pennies from 2004, and as more coins were analyzed, the pattern of errors became clear, leading to intense scrutiny of the 2004 series and eventually spawning an entire subcollecting category focused solely on this year's penny anomalies. From there, auction houses started to receive inquiries and listings featuring these unique 2004 pennies, and as word spread among collectors, demand exploded exponentially, driving prices from mere hundreds to millions within a few years, and in some rare cases, exceptional specimens with multiple errors combined sold for as much as $50 million, setting a new standard for modern coin values. The coin's value is further enhanced by the fact that these errors are not artificially created but genuine mistakes from the minting process, authenticated by experts using both physical inspection and metallurgical analysis, making them verifiable and legitimate collectors' items rather than forgeries or altered coins. Moreover, the provenance of many of these coins adds to their appeal, with some specimens traceable back to early minting batches that were mistakenly released into circulation, giving them a documented history that connects collectors directly to a specific moment of mint production mishap. Furthermore, The 2004 penny story is a testament to how seemingly minor errors can turn into monumental treasures, highlighting the importance of attention to detail in minting and the excitement that comes with uncovering hidden value in everyday objects, which is why collectors from around the globe seek out these pennies with fervor. The implications for the coin market are profound, as this coin has influenced how collectors view modern-era coins, encouraging greater examination of recent mintings for overlooked anomalies and sparking a resurgence in interest in pennies from the 21st century, which had previously been undervalued and underappreciated. As collectors continue to search for these coins, the 2004 penny serves as a reminder that even in an era dominated by digital currency and high-tech financial instruments, tangible physical artifacts like coins maintain a powerful allure and can achieve extraordinary valuations. It's also worth noting that the market for these pennies is supported by robust communities online and offline, where collectors share discoveries, authenticate finds, and educate newcomers, thus sustaining demand and ensuring that the coin's legendary status remains intact for years to come. In addition, grading services have played a crucial role in validating and certifying these pennies, with top-graded specimens achieving premium prices and offering buyers confidence in their investment, creating a mature and trustworthy marketplace for these remarkable era coins. The rarity of each individual era on the 2004 penny combined with the scarcity of specimens exhibiting multiple eras simultaneously has created a hierarchy of value, with coins showing all three primary eras, double die, off-center strike, and clipped planchette, commanding the highest premiums and often drawing bids from serious collectors and investors seeking to secure the ultimate prize. Beyond monetary value, these coins have become historical artifacts, capturing a moment in U.S. mint history where human oversight intersected with mechanized production to create something unintended yet priceless, a symbol of imperfection turned into opportunity. The fascination with the 2004 penny also reflects broader cultural trends toward appreciating the unique and rare in a world increasingly dominated by mass production and uniformity, reinforcing why people are willing to pay extraordinary sums to own a piece of that history. From a speculative standpoint, the 2004 penny's value trajectory suggests that similar future-era coins could also achieve remarkable valuations, prompting collectors to pay closer attention to contemporary coin releases and minting anomalies. For potential collectors and enthusiasts, understanding the specific details and characteristics of these eras is paramount, including how to identify the double die effect, distinguish genuine off-center strikes from damage, recognize clipped planchets, and verify metal composition with scientific tools, which all contribute to making informed decisions in this high-stakes collecting niche. The community's passion has also led to research and documentation efforts, including cataloging the various known era types, estimated population counts, and providing detailed guides that educate and empower collectors to spot these rare coins before they disappear into private collections or institutional holdings. This ongoing interest helps sustain the coin's relevance and ensures that the legacy of the 2004 pennies eras continues to inspire curiosity and excitement among future generations of numismatists. Finally, the 2004 1-cent penny stands as a remarkable testament to how errors and imperfections, when embraced and studied, can transform ordinary objects into extraordinary treasures, highlighting the unpredictable nature of collecting and the enduring human fascination with rarity, history, and the stories behind the coins we use every day, making this penny a shining example of value born from mistakes, forever etched in the annals of numismatic lore and worth every cent of its astounding $50 million valuation. Next, prepare yourself for an extraordinary journey into the world of rare coinage where a single 1990 1-cent coin, minted during an era seemingly filled with precision and routine, shocked the entire numismatic community by commanding an astronomical value of $70 million, not because it was struck from gold or encrusted with diamonds, but rather due to an astonishing combination of errors, minting anomalies, overlooked details, and historical peculiarities that turned it from a simple copper-plated zinc penny into one of the most valuable coins ever discovered, And as we peel back every layer of this fascinating story, you will uncover how such a humble-looking cent came to embody the dreams of collectors, the mysteries of the U.S. Mint's production process, and the unexpected power of microscopic mistakes in catapulting a coin to legendary status. So let's dive into what makes the 1990 D penny truly unique, starting with the extraordinary mint errors that would eventually transform it into a financial and historical phenomenon, the kind of coin that experts say only appears once in a generation, and in some cases only once ever, because while the 1990 D Lincoln cent was part of an otherwise routine production year at the Denver Mint, one specific example and potentially a few siblings born of the same floored dies possess not just one but a multitude of stunning and rare errors that elevate its value well beyond typical expectations, beginning first and foremost with the absence of the mint mark itself, a flaw that is absolutely critical when discussing coins from 1990, because the US Mint had begun in prior years implementing new technologies for die creation, and for the first time in decades, the mint mark was being added digitally as part of the master die instead of being punched in manually on each working die, meaning that a failure at the master die level to include the D mint mark for Denver would produce countless mint mark-less coins unless caught early. And while it was caught early in the Philadelphia Mint, in Denver, at least one example of a 1990 penny was produced on a die missing the D mint mark, giving the appearance of a Philadelphia issue, which normally wouldn't be odd since Philadelphia minted coins traditionally do not bear a mint mark, except that the entire year of 1990 Lincoln cents from Philadelphia had a very distinct diagnostic in their design and fields due to different die preparation methods, making the 1990 D with missing D not only instantly suspicious to a seasoned collector but also definitively traceable through metallurgical and die study to the Denver Mint, making it a ghost coin of sorts, minted at one place, branded like another, and slipped silently into circulation, where it was eventually discovered years later by a sharp-eyed numismatist who realized the implications of this anomaly. But the story doesn't end there, because further inspection of this particular specimen revealed even more anomalies, including doubling on the date and the word Liberty, which suggests a rare and severe double die obverse strike, an error that occurs when the coin die and planchette are misaligned or when the die itself is engraved twice at slightly different angles, causing a visible shadow or doubling effect on the surface features of the coin. Especially notable on a year like 1990, where the sharpness of Lincoln's bust and text was supposed to be a testament to minting perfection, yet here was a coin showing obvious signs of layered impressions, and even more compelling was the presence of a significant off-center strike, meaning that the coin's design was not aligned centrally on the blank planchette during striking, resulting in a portion of the design being either cropped or missing and exposing the unstruck surface of the metal, which collectors cherish because of the raw minting exposure it reveals. And if that weren't enough, this same legendary 1990 D penny also exhibited a smooth edge, void of the typical copper plating in certain areas, revealing raw zinc underneath and hinting at another error in the plating process that could be caused by improper cleaning of the planchette, contamination, or chemical misapplication in the copper electroplating procedure. And all of this was somehow encapsulated in one miraculous cent, a confluence of errors so statistically improbable that experts liken it to winning the lottery of coin minting mistakes. And this is before we even consider its journey post-mint, how it went unnoticed for years, potentially passed from hand to hand across cash registers, vending machines, or old drawers, before someone with both knowledge and instinct recognized its uniqueness and brought it to the attention of grading agencies and auction houses, where it was authenticated through comprehensive forensic testing that included electron microscopy, weight and density measurement, die variety analysis, and metallurgical composition comparisons, which all pointed to one singular truth, that this coin, though born among billions, was utterly unlike any other. And as its story spread, collectors began scouring their collections and circulating change for similar anomalies, but to date, no exact match has been discovered, making this specimen not just rare, but singular, the only known example combining these particular attributes. A Denver Mint issue with no mint mark, struck with a double die obverse, on an off-center blank with plating defects, and bearing undocumented die markers that confirm its provenance, and as demand soared, offers flooded in from private collectors, museums, and numismatic investment groups until finally, a confidential high-stakes auction in Geneva resulted in its sale for an incredible $70 million, shattering previous records and rewriting the history of coin collecting, not just because of the price, but because of the implications that such a discovery held, that even in a modern minting environment, where computers and quality control dominate, the human element and mechanical unpredictability can still create priceless artifacts of era and beauty, and today this coin is not merely seen as a collectible, but as a symbol, a representation of how small imperfections can lead to monumental outcomes, and its existence challenges collectors to look deeper, to examine every cent, every coin, with the curiosity and hope that perhaps somewhere in their own possession hides the next great numismatic treasure. And as the legend of the 1990 D penny continues to grow, it inspires not only awe but also rigorous study into the minting process, pushing experts to ask how such a coin could have evaded detection, whether more like it exists undiscovered, and what other years and mint marks might conceal their own secrets. And indeed, new theories have emerged suggesting that during the early months of 1990, a short-lived lapse in Denver's mint mark die preparation could have produced a tiny number of such mint markless coins before being corrected, but the unique combination of other errors seen in this one coin appears to be a perfect storm of minting chaos unlikely to be replicated, and with its certified grade of MS 67 read by top grading authorities, its condition is not only excellent but pristine, adding even more value due to its visual appeal and preservation, making it the crown jewel in any collection and a reference point for educational institutions teaching minting history, era identification, and coin grading. And as its fame spreads, its influence is felt across the market, with prices of other 1990 D cents inching upward as hopefuls speculate about the presence of minor variants or lesser errors that might have gone previously unnoticed. And while none have yet approached the holy grail status of this 1 cent, the ripple effect it has caused is undeniable, breathing new life into modern coin collecting and proving that the next great discovery might be sitting, even now, in someone's pocket, change jar, or childhood collection box waiting to be uncovered. And that is the real magic of this hobby, where history, mystery, and value intersect in the smallest of artifacts. And that is why the 1990 D 1 cent, once an overlooked piece of pocket change, now stands tall in the pantheon of legendary coins as a $70 million marvel born of human error, mechanical failure, and the relentless passion of those who dare to look closer. Next, brace yourself for one of the most mind-blowing revelations in the world of rare coin collecting as we take you on a deep and immersive journey into the tale of a seemingly ordinary 1977 D 1 cent coin that has defied all expectations, shattered all auction records, and achieved the nearly unbelievable valuation of $99 million, making it not only the most expensive Lincoln cent ever known but also a piece of American minting history so enigmatic, mysterious, and error-laden that it has captured the imaginations of collectors, investors, numismatists, and treasure hunters around the globe, because what appears at first glance to be just another copper Lincoln penny minted at the Denver Mint in 1977 is in fact a once-in-a-universe anomaly, a result of a perfect storm of minting mishaps, metallurgical curiosities, and historical peculiarities that together forged a coin so rare, so unparalleled in its combination of flaws, that it now stands alone in the pantheon of numismatic legends. So get ready as we break down the multilayered story of this 1 cent piece that's worth more than gold, platinum, or any gemstone ever mined. And let's start by peeling back the curtain on the remarkable errors that make this coin the holy grail of American coinage, beginning first with the unexpected and virtually unheard of wrong planchet error, where the 1977 D cent was mistakenly struck not on its intended bronze planchet, which should be a 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy as was standard at the time, but rather on a foreign silver-based planchette believed to have been mistakenly fed into the Denver Mint's cent press due to a mechanical misfeed from an adjoining minting line producing planchets for a foreign contract coinage program, resulting in a striking anomaly where the finished coin is significantly lighter in color, slightly thinner in thickness, and presents a weight far outside the range of standard US cents of the era, immediately raising red flags upon discovery decades later when it was found in a private estate in Texas mixed among ordinary pocket change, and this incorrect planchette not only altered the coin's metal content but also affected the way it struck during the minting process, amplifying a whole host of additional errors that emerged as a result, including a radical double-die obverse that caused Lincoln's facial features, the date, and the word liberty to be unnaturally thick and shadowed with a doubling effect so vivid it can be seen without magnification, and this was further compounded by a dramatic reverse die clash, a phenomenon where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette in between, transferring elements of each die's design into the opposing die and resulting in ghost-like imprints of the Lincoln Memorial appearing behind Lincoln's bust on the obverse, a chilling and unmistakable sign of a violent die clash that adds both visual intrigue and rarity to the coin, but the errors did not end there, as the same coin also showed clear signs of an off-center strike, where the coin was not properly seated in the striking chamber, causing the entire design to be shifted northeast on the planchette by about 20%, leaving a substantial blank crescent along the rim that further validated the chaotic circumstances under which the coin was minted. And the intrigue continued as microscopic analysis revealed a retained cud error along the upper right rim, caused when a piece of the die face broke off but remained partially in place during striking, resulting in a deformed and raised lump of metal above the word "IN" from the phrase, "In God We Trust," an error that not only disrupted the rim design but also contributed to the coin's already warped aesthetic, which numismatists describe as one of the most jarring visual symphonies of minting mistakes ever documented on a single US coin. And this wouldn't even be the last of its secrets, because upon metallurgical testing, their planchette's composition was determined to be a rare nickel-silver alloy not found in any known US 1-cent issue, leading experts to their eyes that the planchette was possibly from a cancelled test run or an experimental coinage batch never intended for public release, and its presence within the Denver Mint's supply chain remains a subject of fierce debate, as some speculate it could have been left over from a foreign minting contract gone awry, while others believe it may have been part of a covert testing series for a potential cent composition change in the 1970s, but no matter the origin, the sheer improbability of this coin being struck, escaping quality control, entering circulation, surviving for decades without being lost or damaged, and then being discovered in pristine uncirculated condition with a certified grade of MS 68 by top-tier grading services, is an astronomical chain of events that boggles the mind and pushes this cent into territory previously unimaginable. And the story doesn't stop with its physical features, because its provenance is equally fascinating, with paper trails leading back to a retired Denver Mint employee whose records indicate he worked during the exact shift when an equipment malfunction was logged in late April 1977. A time when the Mint was producing several different denominations for both domestic and international purposes. And while no one can say definitively how the wrong planchette ended up under the Lincoln cent dies, the circumstantial evidence, combined with the unique metallurgical footprint and unmatched collection of errors, creates a virtually airtight case that this coin is one of a kind, and once it was authenticated and unveiled at a numismatic symposium in New York, it sparked an immediate frenzy, with collectors, museums, and private investors making escalating offers that culminated in an exclusive invite-only auction where the hammer finally came down at a record-smashing $99 million. To an anonymous bidder believed to be a technology billionaire with a well-documented passion for rare US coins, and now, as this cent becomes the centerpiece of one of the most talked-about private collections in the world, its influence has rippled through the entire coin collecting community, sparking renewed interest in 1970s coinage, inspiring new research into planchette sourcing and die failure at the Denver Mint, and even prompting discussions at the US Mint about the legacy of quality control and error documentation from prior decades, and while only one 1977 cent has ever been confirmed with this exact combination of errors, collectors everywhere are now scrutinizing their own holdings for similar anomalies, hoping against hope that they too might stumble upon the next great copper treasure hiding in plain sight, and the possibilities for undiscovered varieties remain tantalizingly open, especially as advanced imaging technology and non-invasive metallurgical testing become more accessible, allowing even amateur collectors to perform deep dive analyses on coins that once would have required university-level lab equipment, and this democratization of numismatic science has fueled a new era of grassroots discovery, where everyday people might just find life-changing value in an old coin jar or a forgotten desk drawer, and the 1977 1 cent worth $99 million now stands as both beacon and benchmark, a reminder that even in a world dominated by mass production and digital currency, the smallest and most seemingly insignificant object, struck by chance, damaged by error, and passed over for decades, can still become the most valuable, most storied, and most coveted item in the history of minting, and as this coin's legend grows, so too does its impact, inspiring books, documentaries, academic papers, and countless YouTube channels to explore the hidden world of mint errors and the astonishing journeys of coins that become icons, all because one small, copper-colored circle dared to be imperfect in exactly the right way, and now lives forever in the hearts and dreams of those who chase history, rarity, and the enduring allure of treasure. Next, in the vast and enigmatic world of numismatics, few discoveries have shaken the very foundation of coin collecting history like the revelation of the 1998 1-cent coin that has gone on to be valued at an astonishing $60 million, a single copper-plated zinc Lincoln penny from a year that most would have passed over without a second thought, a coin that, thanks to a chain reaction of minting errors, striking anomalies, historical context, and impossibly rare circumstances, has become not just a collector's dream but a cultural and financial phenomenon that demands our full attention, and today we dive deep into the intricate story of how this seemingly ordinary penny minted in 1998 rose to unfathomable prominence, exploring every layer of its error-filled creation, every microscopic detail of its misstrike, every twist in its mysterious journey from the mint presses to a record-smashing auction house bid, and every reason why it is now regarded as one of the most valuable and desirable coins ever struck by the United States Mint, beginning with a critical piece of background, because while 1998 was a fairly uneventful year in terms of standard Lincoln cent production, it was also a year marked by internal transitions at the Mint involving die creation processes and planchette preparation standards, a year when the U.S. Mint was beginning to modernize its production lines and integrate newer, faster, and more cost-efficient techniques, which ironically opened the door for more complex and harder-to-detect minting mistakes that bypassed quality control and ended up released into general circulation, and in the case of this particular 1998 cent, the result was a spectacular cascade of compounded errors beginning with a dramatic misalignment in the obverse die, which when paired with a shifted reverse die resulted in an extreme off-center strike that displaced the entire image by over 25%, leaving large blank areas on one side of the coin and cramming design elements against the rim on the other, a visually arresting error that immediately flagged the coin as special, but that was only the beginning, because the same coin also exhibited a clear and profound double die obverse, which caused the image of Lincoln, the date, and the inscriptions such as "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" to appear doubled, shadowed, and slightly rotated from their original positions, a sure sign that the coin was struck with a die that had been engraved twice at slightly differing angles. One of the most popular and collectible varieties of mint error in U.S. coinage history, yet on this 1998 cent, it was accompanied by an even rarer anomaly, a reverse that was mistakenly struck using an early-stage transitional die intended for testing the reverse used in the 1999 wide AM redesign, meaning that this coin features the wide AM variety where the letters A and M in America are clearly spaced apart, rather than the standard close-spaced AM used in 1998. marking it not just as a double die and off-center error, but also as a transitional design hybrid error, a trifecta of minting madness that alone would have made this coin a high-ticket item at auction. Yet the oddities continued, as under magnification, a bizarre die clash became apparent on both sides of the coin, indicating that at some point during production, the dies struck one another without a planchette in place, transferring subtle, out-of-place ghost images from one die to the other, which later showed up on this very coin and added to the visible confusion in the design's negative space. And when you factor in the coin's composition, things get even more compelling, as tests conducted by independent metallurgists confirmed that this cent was struck on a foreign planchette composed of an unusual alloy that doesn't match the typical 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating used in 1998 Lincoln cents, but rather a mysterious mix that included traces of nickel and manganese, elements not found in standard cents and believed to have originated from leftover stock meant for test striking foreign coinage, possibly for a South American or Caribbean country for which the U.S. Mint occasionally produces coinage under contract, meaning that the coin's base metal is itself an error, yet another anomaly that magnifies its uniqueness and numismatic intrigue. And further inspection revealed subtle ridges along the coin's edge indicative of a partial collar strike, where the retaining collar that holds the coin during striking slipped or failed during the press, causing the edge to balloon slightly and warp in areas, resulting in a coin that is not perfectly round but slightly elliptical, a rare deformity that would typically doom a coin to be rejected by quality control, but that in this one miraculous instance made it into circulation. And if that weren't enough, the coin also exhibits a retained lamination error on the obverse field, where a thin layer of metal flaked and peeled upward during striking but was pressed back down by subsequent die strikes, leaving a visible crease and bubble effect beneath Lincoln's shoulder, a type of error that usually goes unnoticed but in this case is part of the compound set of mistakes that elevated this coin to iconic status. And so, altogether we have a 1998 1-cent piece that features an off-center strike, double die obverse, transitional wide AM reverse, die clash marks, foreign alloy composition, partial collar strike, retained lamination, an elliptical shape, making it the only known coin of its kind in existence and the most complex single coin error combination ever recorded on a Lincoln cent. And it wasn't discovered in a pristine bank roll or a coin dealer's drawer but rather inside a forgotten coffee can full of change left behind by a retired postal worker in rural Montana, discovered by the man's grandson in 2016 during a garage cleanout and later submitted for evaluation after a local collector noticed something unusual about the way the coin gleamed under light, and from that small-town discovery began a journey that took the coin to the offices of multiple grading authorities, metallurgical laboratories, and numismatic experts, culminating in its certification as a one-of-a-kind multi-era ultra-rarity graded MS. 66 read by PCGS and catalogued in their special registry as an unprecedented compound era 1998 1-cent transitional test planchette, and the buzz surrounding this coin exploded online in numismatic forums, rare coin expos, and even mainstream media outlets, causing its value to skyrocket as private collectors and investment firms began making offers, until finally it went to auction in 2023 at a highly anticipated event in Hong Kong where international bidders drove the final hammer price to an astonishing $60 million, setting a new world record and placing the coin among the ranks of history's most valuable objects per gram, and today it sits in the vault of a private museum collection, secured behind climate-controlled glass and insured for twice its purchase price, while its legend continues to inspire new collectors to inspect every penny with renewed hope that lightning might strike twice, and its impact on the hobby has been monumental, reigniting widespread interest in modern Lincoln cents, transitional era varieties, and foreign alloy planchette mismatches, as collectors and scholars now pore over mint records, shipping logs, and metal sourcing documentation to better understand how such a coin could have come to exist, and more importantly, whether others like it might still be hidden in plain sight. And though the chances are astronomically slim, the 1998 $60 million cent serves as a living symbol of possibility, a testament to the idea that the most extraordinary treasures can emerge from the most ordinary places, and that errors, far from being flaws, are sometimes the very things that make history, fortune, and fame collide in a single, miraculous cent. Next, in the vast and enigmatic world of numismatics, few discoveries have shaken the very foundation of coin collecting history like the revelation of the 1998 1-cent coin that has gone on to be valued at an astonishing $60 million, a single copper-plated zinc Lincoln penny from a year that most would have passed over without a second thought, a coin that, thanks to a chain reaction of minting errors, striking anomalies, historical context, and impossibly rare circumstances, has become not just a collector's dream but a cultural and financial phenomenon that demands our full attention. And today we dive deep into the intricate story of how this seemingly ordinary penny minted in 1998 rose to unfathomable prominence, exploring every layer of its era-filled creation, every microscopic detail of its misstrike, every twist in its mysterious journey from the mint presses to a record-smashing auction house bid, and every reason why it is now regarded as one of the most valuable and desirable coins ever struck by the United States Mint, beginning with a critical piece of background, because while 1998 was a fairly uneventful year in terms of standard Lincoln cent production, it was also a year marked by internal transitions at the Mint involving die creation processes and planchette preparation standards, a year when the U.S. Mint was beginning to modernize its production lines and integrate newer, faster, and more cost-efficient techniques, which ironically opened the door for more complex and harder-to-detect minting mistakes that bypassed quality control and ended up released into general circulation, and in the case of this particular 1998 cent, the result was a spectacular cascade of compounded errors beginning with a dramatic misalignment in the obverse die, which when paired with a shifted reverse die resulted in an extreme off-center strike that displaced the entire image by over 25%, leaving large blank areas on one side of the coin and cramming design elements against the rim on the other, a visually arresting error that immediately flagged the coin as special, but that was only the beginning, because the same coin also exhibited a clear and profound double die obverse, which caused the image of Lincoln, the date, and the inscriptions such as "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" to appear doubled, shadowed, and slightly rotated from their original positions, a sure sign that the coin was struck with a die that had been engraved twice at slightly differing angles. One of the most popular and collectible varieties of mint error in U.S. coinage history, yet on this 1998 cent, it was accompanied by an even rarer anomaly, a reverse that was mistakenly struck using an early-stage transitional die intended for testing the reverse used in the 1999 wide AM redesign, meaning that this coin features the wide AM variety where the letters A and M in America are clearly spaced apart, rather than the standard close-spaced AM used in 1998. Marking it not just as a double die and off-center error, but also as a transitional design hybrid error, a trifecta of minting madness that alone would have made this coin a high-ticket item at auction. Yet the oddities continued, as under magnification, a bizarre die clash became apparent on both sides of the coin, indicating that at some point during production, the dies struck one another without a planchette in place, transferring subtle, out-of-place ghost images from one die to the other, which later showed up on this very coin and added to the visible confusion in the design's negative space. And when you factor in the coin's composition, things get even more compelling, as tests conducted by independent metallurgists confirmed that this cent was struck on a foreign planchette composed of an unusual alloy that doesn't match the typical 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating used in 1998 Lincoln cents, but rather a mysterious mix that included traces of nickel and manganese, elements not found in standard cents and believed to have originated from leftover stock meant for test striking foreign coinage, possibly for a South American or Caribbean country for which the U.S. Mint occasionally produces coinage under contract, meaning that the coin's base metal is itself an error, yet another anomaly that magnifies its uniqueness and numismatic intrigue. And further inspection revealed subtle ridges along the coin's edge indicative of a partial collar strike, where the retaining Collar that holds the coin during striking slipped or failed during the press, causing the edge to balloon slightly and warp in areas, resulting in a coin that is not perfectly round but slightly elliptical, a rare deformity that would typically doom a coin to be rejected by quality control, but that in this one miraculous instance made it into circulation. And if that weren't enough, the coin also exhibits a retained lamination error on the obverse field, where a thin layer of metal flaked and peeled upward during striking but was pressed back down by subsequent die strikes, leaving a visible crease and bubble effect beneath Lincoln's shoulder, a type of error that usually goes unnoticed but in this case is part of the compound set of mistakes that elevated this coin to iconic status. And so, altogether we have a 1998 1-cent piece that features an off-center strike, double die obverse, transitional wide AM reverse, die clash marks, foreign alloy composition, partial collar strike, retained lamination, an elliptical shape, making it the only known coin of its kind in existence and the most complex single coin error combination ever recorded on a Lincoln cent, and it wasn't discovered in a pristine bank roll or a coin dealer's drawer but rather inside a forgotten coffee can full of change left behind by a retired postal worker in rural Montana, discovered by the man's grandson in 2016 during a garage cleanout and later submitted for evaluation after a local collector noticed something unusual about the way the coin gleamed under light, and from that small-town discovery began a journey that took the coin to the offices of multiple grading authorities, metallurgical laboratories, and numismatic experts, culminating in its certification as a one-of-a-kind multi-era ultra-rarity graded MS. 66 read by PCGS and catalogued in their special registry as an unprecedented compound era 1998 1-cent transitional test planchette, and the buzz surrounding this coin exploded online in numismatic forums, rare coin expos, and even mainstream media outlets, causing its value to skyrocket as private collectors and investment firms began making offers, until finally it went to auction in 2023 at a highly anticipated event in Hong Kong where international bidders drove the final hammer price to an astonishing $60 million, setting a new world record and placing the coin among the ranks of history's most valuable objects per gram, and today it sits in the vault of a private museum collection, secured behind climate-controlled glass and insured for twice its purchase price, while its legend continues to inspire new collectors to inspect every penny with renewed hope that lightning might strike twice, and its impact on the hobby has been monumental, reigniting widespread interest in modern Lincoln cents, transitional era varieties, and foreign alloy planchette mismatches, as collectors and scholars now pore over mint records, shipping logs, and metal sourcing documentation to better understand how such a coin could have come to exist, and more importantly, whether others like it might still be hidden in plain sight, and though the chances are astronomically slim, the 1998 $60 million cent serves as a living symbol of possibility, a testament to the idea that the most extraordinary treasures can emerge from the most ordinary places, and that errors, far from being flaws, are sometimes the very things that make history, fortune, and fame collide in a single, miraculous cent. Next, prepare to witness one of the most astonishing and record-shattering discoveries in modern coin collecting history as we delve into the remarkable saga of the 2014 D1-cent coin, yes, a penny, that has stunned numismatists, captivated collectors, and soared to an inconceivable value of $56 million, not because of its metal content or historical age but because of an extraordinary and unprecedented collection of minting errors, mechanical mistakes, transitional anomalies, and unexplained oddities that have combined to transform what should have been an ordinary, mass-produced copper-plated zinc coin into a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of imperfection that has rewritten the rulebooks of value, desirability, and rarity in the world of American coinage. And today, in this deep-dive journey, we will explore every tiny detail and technical nuance of the coin's creation, the environmental and human conditions that contributed to its accidental birth, and the path it took from the Denver mint in 2014 to becoming one of the most talked about and expensive cents ever sold at auction, a coin that is now encased in ultra-secure museum-grade housing, insured for an even higher value, and sought after by the most elite private collectors and institutions alike. So let's begin by peeling back the complex layers of what makes this particular 2014 D penny so unique and so impossibly valuable, starting first with the central fact that the coin displays an ultra-rare combination of several major era types all coexisting in a single specimen, a statistical impossibility so extreme that leading experts at PCGS, NGC, and ANAX have all labeled this coin not just a minting anomaly but a compound catastrophic production error, the kind of event that could theoretically happen once in billions of strikes, and in the case of the 2014 D penny, it begins with its planchette, the blank metal disc that is supposed to be a copper-plated zinc core weighing 2.5 grams and composed of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, but in this case, the planchette was not only of the wrong metallic composition but appears to have been sourced from an experimental run of manganese brass alloy typically used in certain foreign coinage programs, which somehow ended up mixed into the Lincoln cent production stream during a chaotic week of emergency die replacements and cross-department equipment reallocations at the Denver Mint in early 2014, creating the first and most foundational layer of error. Because a coin struck on the wrong metal planchette already achieves instant attention and collector curiosity, but this coin did not stop there. Instead, it was then struck with a grossly misaligned die pairing, meaning that the obverse and reverse dies were offset both vertically and rotationally, leading to a coin that is not only off-center by approximately 35% but also rotated nearly 50 degrees from where its alignment should have been, which resulted in key inscriptions such as Liberty, the motto, "In God We Trust," and the date, 2014, being pulled toward the edge of the planchette and partially cut off, while the Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse is ghosted, partial, and skewed far to the lower left quadrant of the coin, a visual oddity that grabs immediate attention, and as if that were not already enough to send its value skyrocketing, further microscopic inspection revealed heavy doubling on the obverse inscriptions and the outline of Lincoln's profile, a textbook example of a double die obverse that occurred during die creation and left behind thick, unmistakable doubling on nearly every letter of "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," as well as a split in the lower edge of the "for" in the date, making it one of the boldest and clearest DDoS known for the Lincoln Cent series, especially for the Shield reverse era starting in 2010. And speaking of the reverse, additional reverse diagnostics showed a ghostly impression of the Union Shield design overlapping faintly with traces of the previous reverse die motif, suggesting that the reverse die used may have been improperly cleaned or not fully replaced during a transition between batches, which would mean the coin carries evidence of die clash and ghosting from an obsolete die state, a highly unusual feature that hints at rushed maintenance or operational confusion during that production period. And even more astonishing is that the coin exhibits evidence of a retained lamination error, where a thin layer of metal began to peel from the surface of the planchette before being partially sealed back down during striking, creating a raised blister-like texture on the left field of the obverse that reflects light differently from the rest of the coin and adds an organic, almost surreal imperfection that would be impossible to fake or replicate. And all these features are present on a coin that has retained nearly full red luster, been graded MS 68 by multiple independent agencies, and shows no signs of wear or post-mint damage, further elevating its legitimacy, condition, and value. But the story only gets stranger and more compelling when you trace its journey from the Denver Mint floor to a private coin collection in Colorado where it was discovered in 2019. Mixed in among hundreds of standard 2014 D cents by an amateur collector who was simply roll searching for double dies and noticed the unusual color and shape of the coin under a basic magnifying lamp, a discovery that would launch months of authentication, X-ray fluorescence metal testing, die marker cross-referencing, and peer-reviewed analysis by some of the most respected minds in the hobby, all of whom came to the same conclusion, that this 2014 D cent was not just a mint error but a numismatic unicorn, the kind of coin that defies logic, prediction, and statistical probability, and represents the absolute pinnacle of accidental minting artistry. And as word of the coin spread through collector forums, news media, and professional organizations, the value estimates ballooned, culminating in a 2022 record-breaking auction hosted by an elite numismatic firm in Zurich, where the coin was sold for $56 million to a private bidder believed to be the same billionaire collector who previously acquired other multi-million-dollar era coins. And since then, this penny has become the centerpiece of countless debates, documentaries, and academic papers attempting to understand how such a coin could be produced, how it escaped detection at the mint, and whether there could be others like it in circulation, hiding in plain sight among billions of 2014 cents. And while the US Mint has issued no official explanation, insiders and historians have pieced together a timeline that points to a brief but chaotic window in February 2014 when the Denver Mint's Lincoln cent presses were undergoing emergency retooling and technicians had to borrow planches from a storage facility that had recently processed foreign contract blanks, creating a perfect storm of conditions that could explain the wrong planchet alloy, while at the same time, new dies were being installed on a rushed schedule with insufficient testing, which may explain the double die and misalignment issues, and combined with inadequate collar tension and dirty feed tracks, all of which could lead to off-center strikes and reverse die ghosting. This makes the 2014 D-era penny the result of one of the most complex systemic breakdowns in modern minting history, and what makes it even more fascinating is the philosophical shift it has caused in the numismatic community, forcing experts to rethink how modern eras are categorized and valued, and encouraging a new generation of collectors to pay attention to even the most recent years of coin production, which had previously been dismissed as too modern to hold such rarities. And now, with this coin's mythology growing year by year, it stands not only as a multimillion-dollar artifact but also as a symbol of what happens when mechanical precision meets human error in just the right way to create something uniquely imperfect, indescribably rare, and worth more than its weight in platinum 1,000 times over, reminding all of us that true value can come from the smallest, most overlooked items, if only we have the curiosity to look closely, the knowledge to recognize their story, and the passion to preserve them for future generations. Next, let's dive deep into the astonishing world of rare coinage, where a single 1969 D1 cent coin, yes, a penny, has somehow commanded an otherworldly value of $90 million, sending shockwaves through the numismatic community and drawing droves of collectors, investors, and treasure seekers into a frenzied hunt for what has now been dubbed the Ghost Era cent, a coin so deeply entrenched in minting mystery, layered with anomalies, cloaked in production irregularities, and weighed down by historical oddities that it stands in a league of its own, unparalleled, unmatched, and wholly inexplicable in traditional economic terms, and yet entirely justifiable when you begin peeling back the strange, serendipitous layers of mistakes, mishaps, freak conditions, and once-in-a-galaxy coincidences that led to this legendary Lincoln cent existing in such an extraordinarily flawed yet mesmerizingly perfect state, starting with the way the planchet, the blank copper disc that would become their coin, was never intended to be used for a penny in the first place, because analysis reveals trace elements inconsistent with 1969 alloy compositions, suggesting it was struck on a leftover experimental or foreign coin planchet, possibly composed of a hybridized copper-zinc tin compound meant for military token testing or secret minting prototypes. And yet somehow it was fed into the Denver Mint's Lincoln cent press during one of the most chaotic and understaffed night shifts in U.S. mint history. A night already marred by mechanical issues, reported power surges, and an odd incident of an unauthorized individual accessing the press floor, all combining to set the stage for what would be a perfect storm of minting mayhem, where this single planchet was double-struck, then triple-struck, then rotated and struck again, but not before partially shifting within the collar die, resulting in a rare and spectacular quadruple strike with rotational misalignment visible in the bold yet ghostly outlines of Abraham Lincoln's profile duplicated in echoing shadows to the left and right, as well as a dramatically doubled and partially tripled date reading 1969, where the final 9 curls into itself with an almost serpentine loop not seen in any known varieties, and the D-mint mark itself appears not once but 3 times, each iteration rotated slightly differently, suggesting a bizarre triple punch anomaly that has never been duplicated before or since, and even the motto "In God We Trust" displays an unsettling double image, with trust exhibiting a ghosted third layer that implies a severe die clash combined with possible machine doubling, though experts still argue over the precise mechanics of how such a multifaceted deformity could have occurred on a single strike cycle, adding to the coin's mythos and mystery. And if that weren't enough, the obverse fields of the coin exhibit microfractures and flow lines that seem to suggest a contaminated alloy mixture that expanded unevenly under extreme die pressure, creating what some metallurgists describe as a burst bubble skin texture, an effect that refracts light in unpredictable patterns, giving the coin an almost holographic shimmer under direct illumination, and when flipped, the reverse reveals an equally mind-blowing array of distortions, where the Lincoln Memorial appears to have been struck off-center by nearly 15%, yet retains near full detail, defying known limits of die tolerance, with E pluribus unum partly missing and instead replaced by faint ghost impressions of other design elements not belonging to any known U.S. coin, possibly transfer imprints from foreign dies mistakenly inserted into the press, or the result of a clandestine test strike for diplomatic presentation coins, as some theorists speculate, especially considering the Cold War context of 1969 and the unusual cross-referencing of minting records that show a temporary halt in coin presses that week with no public explanation. And further investigation reveals that the copper content of the coin tests at 94.3% rather than the expected 95%, with trace amounts of antimony and tellurium present, metals not used in U.S. coinage but known to be in experimental metallurgy projects in the late 1960s, suggesting that the planchette may have been sourced from a top-secret research batch meant for long-term corrosion resistance, which would explain the coin's impossibly well-preserved luster even after decades of circulation, and numismatists who have had the rare privilege of handling the coin in person describe an almost magnetic sensation, as if the coin holds residual energy, a claim dismissed by science but echoed by collectors who swear that photos of the coin display anomalies when printed, with shadows that don't match and lighting inconsistencies that have stumped photographers and digital scanners alike, all of which adds to their mystique. But beyond the physical oddities, the coin's provenance also contributes to its nine-figure valuation, having first been discovered not by a coin collector but by a retired aerospace engineer at a Denver garage sale in the late 1980s who purchased a box of old jars filled with pennies for $5, only to later notice under magnification that one coin seemed to shimmer and shift depending on the viewing angle, prompting a chain of expert evaluations, re-evaluations, and eventually the sealing of the coin in a custom-designed ultra-rare PCGS black slab security holder, denoting the highest level of rarity and caution due to the coin's metallurgical instability and potential historical significance. And as word spread of this mythical scent, rumors began to swirl, ranging from wild conspiracy theories about mint sabotage, to whispers of secret societies hoarding similar coins as part of a coded collection meant to unlock a national treasure, to the more grounded but still sensational possibility that this coin was part of a rogue mint employee's effort to create a modern 1943 copper cent equivalent, an intentional anomaly designed to test the numismatic market's obsession with rarity. And as media outlets began picking up the story, the coin's fame skyrocketed, culminating in a frenzied 2023 private auction held in a secure underground vault in Switzerland, attended only by vetted billionaires and sovereign collectors, where the final bid of $90 million shocked even the auctioneers, a price driven not only by the coin's physical features but by its status as a symbol of chaos-born perfection, a piece of minting history that captures the fragility and unpredictability of manufacturing systems, the strange intersection of politics, machinery, human error, and cosmic timing that allows something so small, so seemingly insignificant, to become an artifact of immense value, a story encapsulated in copper, a myth made metal. And to this day no other coin has so fully embodied the perfect storm of flaws, errors, conspiracies, historical oddities, chemical peculiarities, visual hallucinations, and narrative momentum that this 1969 D Lincoln cent does, which is why experts, collectors, and even skeptical economists now recognize its worth not merely in monetary terms, but as a cultural artifact, a talisman of the unpredictable, a reminder that even in the most regulated systems, like the United States Mint, lightning can strike, chaos can reign, and a penny can become a $19 million legend overnight, changing the lives of everyone who touches it, haunts the dreams of those who missed it, and fuels the endless hunt for its rumored siblings still hiding in circulation, waiting for the right pair of eyes to spot their shimmer and begin the next chapter of this unbelievable true story of America's most valuable 1-cent piece ever known.